Hey everybody, it's me, Julian Greystoke. Today I'm wearing my Inigo Montoya shirt. Not really for any specific reason, I just felt like wearing it. And I need some new shirts. You guys have pretty much seen my entire wardrobe of fun shirts. That's sad. Side note, I don't really have a wardrobe outside of fun shirts. Fun shirts are where it's at. Okay, you guys, today I am going to talk about a book and my opinion of it that is probably going to make a lot of you take me a lot less seriously. I feel like my dislike for this book could definitely be used against me. Like, I'm just one of those schlubs who likes the equivalent of the Transformers movies in book form, and anything deeper than that is too confusing to me after we talk about this book. That is The Handmaid's Tale. I decided I ought to read this one. I kind of assigned myself to read this one because there is a series coming out on Hulu, I think, which I will never actually get to see because I don't have Hulu. If you're not familiar with A Handmaid's Tale, the concept is it follows a woman in this dystopian future where there's something has happened so that reproduction is greatly limited and women who can produce live offspring are in high demand, and so they're essentially enslaved and prostituted out basically to wealthy people who want children. That's the concept. That's about all this book really has. So something you should know about me is that I am not really into what I would call concept books. Books that exist to focus much more on the world and the ideas being shared than they do on the characters. That's just me. I prefer a story that's got a lot more engaging of a story in it. In this particular book, it felt like we joined our lead character in the most boring portion of her life. Now, this exists so that we can follow her through her daily life as one of these women who is supposed to produce children for wealthy families, and her life is incredibly boring. And I think we are supposed to really relate to her and be feeling what she's feeling in these moments because we are so, like, attached to her and we cannot escape just like she can't escape. But that was not for me. Not for me. I was bored. And not in a good way where I was like, oh, I feel her pain. I was like, no, I get it. I understand, book. Can we move on to something engaging now? I understood this world and concept pretty early, thought about it, and moved on. Maybe it is just because I tend to do that very quickly as a person. Like, if I ever go to an art gallery, I move incredibly quickly. I stop, I appreciate a picture, and I move on from it. Not because I, like, somehow am not appreciating the picture enough or gathering from it. It just, my brain goes very fast. Whether that's a character flaw in me or not, you can decide that for yourself. I think it's just the way that my brain works and processes things. And so, as I said, I was done with the concept of this book way before the book was done with me. This book is also told in a lot of flashbacks, and I kind of have a pet peeve about flashbacks. I feel like if your story has a lot of flashbacks, you might as well have just started the story back then. Our lead is an incredibly passive main character. Incredibly passive. Again, I get that that is intentional, but boy, do I not enjoy reading a passive main character. She makes like 2 decisions for herself in this entire book. I was also not a huge fan of the writing style of this book. I didn't notice it for a long way through, but eventually I kind of noticed that the way everything is described, it's sort of described like 3 times. Like, if she saw a dog, she would be like, "A small creature approached me with a waggy tail and brown fur. It looked up at me with big, dark eyes, and its pink tongue lolled out happily. It was a dog." And it was like, alright, I got that it was a dog. I didn't then need to be told that it was a dog after you described it. Overall, the writing style was fine, but I felt sometimes it made this book longer than it needed to be. One thing in the world building that did really confuse me is that people went along with this evil regime super quickly. Like, our main character was an adult when the world switched over, and she is still young enough to bear children. So that means that this new world system switched really fast. I can't think in my friend group of a single person who would not oppose this tooth and nail. It felt super odd that there was such a quick switch, especially since our main character talks about how she was raised, who her mother is, who her friends are. It never struck me as terribly clear why our main character was so willing to go along with this world, or why anyone was so willing to go along with this world. It is possible that because this book is older, it would have been easier to see if I was living in the time that this book was written, but in this day and age, no. I was also really curious where all the people of color were. It was maybe implied that there was also some kind of like racial cleansing in like a couple of lines somewhere in the book. I might even be remembering wrong. So yeah, those are really all my thoughts on A Handmaid's Tale. Some people will tell you it's like a super, super important book, and maybe for its time, but now... And I know that that probably makes me look like an idiot, and you know what? I don't care, because I'm not gonna lie to you about what I like and I don't like. I did not like A Handmaid's Tale. If that makes you think less of me, so be it. Have you read A Handmaid's Tale? What did you think about it? Comment below and let me know. Don't forget that I post new videos here Mondays and Fridays, and all the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo. And I will see all of you guys again next time with whatever I happen to be doing next time, and so will Jane, who is on my lap, being like limp and boneless. And he also drooled. He drooled on me while we were talking. So there's that. Bye!